I'm coming to a realization. It's kind of a hard realization, and you might say, oh, didn't you know this? But, you know, on this planet, no matter what, no matter how decent we are as in the presence we bring to this planet, people are still going to try to crucify you. Like it doesn't matter what you do, how you express yourself, what you give to others, how kind, like the wisdom that you share. People are going to try to crucify you and nail you to the cross. Like they did it to Jesus. They really, really did. I've read a dictation which I'll attach the link for it below, because it's just got so much in it. And Jesus is talking about, in the initial stages, he talks about how he came into Jerusalem and everyone, was throwing down the palms and worshipping him like, he's the Messiah, he's the chosen one, and treating him that way. But then when he didn't conform and fit into the box that people had in their minds of how this Messiah, how this great leader was supposed to behave and act for them, they basically were the same ones who chose, when they had the opportunity to free the living Christ, they chose a murderer, to release a murderer over releasing the living Christ. I mean, isn't that an example of this incredible mentality of like, if people don't fit into the mental box of like how I expect them to behave, and I'm not saying this is not how I think, or it's not, but this is like this fallen consciousness. If you don't fit into this box of what people are projecting upon you, then they will try to destroy you or whatever. They'll just react in ways that just are inconceivable. And so I'm sort of beginning to see this, that no matter what, there's going to be negative, even hateful projections coming at me. Quite often it's a lot of it's unsaid. You receive the negativity, like, you just know it's there, or you just receive really subtle, covert sort of messages of these negative projections. And I've been talking about it. It's reached a point where it's been sort of subtly needling into me for a long, long time. But now I'm at the point where the psychological reaction in me is just becoming so uncomfortable. Like it's time for me to resolve this. It's like I have no choice. Either I can sort of like, I don't know, explode from the turbulence of this trauma, or resolve it. It's one or the other. And the explosion part would take me into some sort of mental health crisis. And I don't want that. I'm not in the mood for that. So instead, just face it. And so, I've pointed out that the mob, they'll do what they do. They will kill the living Christ. Now, even if Jesus walked back into embodiment right now and, they would still kill him. Not necessarily physically, but, kill him on all levels. Because there's many of us who are expressing our Christhood at various different levels. And I think we find the more, the higher we move and the more we express, like, sort of, it almost becomes like lonelier in a way, like, because, you're not fitting the mold that others expect you to fit into. And this is, called putting someone into a mental box. It's putting the Christ into a mental box. Like, yeah, the Christ will behave this way, but it won't behave that way. Like, it's just placing all of these conditions upon the Christ. And how can we put conditions on God? How can you put conditions onto the pure spirit, the balance that we have, that connects us all to one another and connects us to the one mind? How can we put that into a mental box? How can we know how the Christ is going to express through me, through you, through anyone? We don't know, it's just going to happen in the moment. It's however that expression comes through. So, again, the reality is projections are going to come. They're going to keep coming loads and loads and all the time, and I can whinge and complain and say, they shouldn't be doing this, and this self in me sort of, it wants justice, it wants it righted, it wants these other people to sort of see what they're doing and apologize, or, be held accountable publicly, and I know it's all just ridiculous, don't worry, but I'm just being really, really honest about, this is what goes through the mind, wanting to fix everybody, and to have justice. But the thing is, there's only one thing I can change, and I can't change those other people. I can't change the projections, but I can change my inner world and choose to sort of accept that it's going to happen. And it's going to continue to happen. You just look at social media. There's, people just use social media as it's such an impersonal forum that, it's an amazing way to sort of, it can demoralize you if you take it too personally, put it that way. So, people will find a way to try and bring you down. But the question is, am I going to let it bring me down? And, I'm asking myself that. And so I think, I'm just sort of at this point of just accepting that they will try to kill the Christ in me, which is the expression of light coming through my being. They will try to kill the Christ in anybody, the expression of light coming through our beings. So, I'm just on this path, of accepting that and looking at all of this, very energetically. I haven't really got an intellectual sort of answer to all of this, but I'm just sort of saying just make the choice to allow the expression, and also I'm just carefully bringing through some energetic boundaries so that the projections might come, but just learning to sort of, seal up my protective field and just let them bounce right back off me or pass through, whatever they need to, whatever they'll do, but not to touch me. Okay? So it's just a matter of, and I guess sort of, the main thing I'm doing is just depersonalizing, just recognizing that those projections, they're not personal really against me. It's ultimately coming from, dark forces. They're the ones working through people, sending out these projections of negativity. So I just need to not give them life, and so that's just coming through. Like I said, it's an energetic experience at the moment. So by building up my protective field, that translates to building up boundaries and just carefully constructing just bringing through these boundaries, which are sort of, it's a very creative process because each time it's all very different. You just need to sort of read into every single situation carefully, attune within, to an ascended master, to your higher being, and just, work out what to do in that particular situation. And it's just a very quick sort of, evaluation. But yeah, so and also, from a practical level, there's a bit of selecting out going on too, where I'm just deciding, I don't need this in my life any longer. I don't need that person, just recognizing the realities going on. So I think that's that will do for now. But the message is just to come to this place of acceptance that we live in a really turbulent, imbalanced planet, and not everyone's going to treat us that well, especially when we're, working on expressing ourselves in higher and higher ways. But it's so liberating to actually do it, when we do sort of just go, I don't care. I just don't care about what they're doing. I'm going to express my light. And when we allow that to happen, it's so liberating and empowering, and it actually liberates others. So that's a part of becoming an example of the living Christ on earth.